As the hunt for survivors continues, official figures show more than 7,000 people died in Monday's earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Nationwide strikes in France have brought cities to a standstill and disrupted power production, the third round of protests against planned pension reforms. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius visits Kyiv as Ukraine hopes to see Leopard tanks in action to meet Russia's next offensive.
Moldova's Prime Minister tells Euronews that her country is threatened by Russia's hybrid aggression.
A race against time to find survivors of the earthquake that violently shook southeastern Turkey and northwestern Syria early Monday morning. The earthquake, with a magnitude of 7.8, left more than 7,000 dead, with that figure likely to rise. The Turkish president's declared a 3-month state of emergency. Continuous aftershocks and freezing temperatures are hampering rescue efforts.
Hatay'da çok sayıda bina sağlı sollu yıkılmış durumda. Buradaki halk kendi imkanlarıyla bu binaların yakınlarına girerek enkaz altında kalanları çıkarmaya çalışıyor.
İş makinesi istedim. İlk günden indim, ben 5. kattan indim. Abimi kurtarın, makinesi alın dedim. Kimse açmadı telefonumu. Benim abim kan kaybından ölük.
Ay, ay. Ay, Ebru'nun eteği, Ebru'nun eteği.
Dün 2 çocuk, yan binadan da bir çocuk çıkardı değil mi? 3 çocuk çıkardı.
Peki herhangi bir ses vesaire duyuyor musunuz? Yani altta kalanları.
Ya şimdi 1. kattaki ses etse ne olur? Duyabilir misin? Duyamazsın.
Ekipler peki ne zaman intikal etti bölgeye?
Ya dün akşam geldiler de ekipman yok. Çoğunda ekipman yok. Yani gelip bakıyorlar, sağ olsunlar, tamam mı? Ellerine geleni yapıyorlar ama yeterli değil. 10 kişi var şu enkazda. Halen 10 kişi var ve muhtemelen yaşıyorlar.
Scenes of anguish are repeated throughout Turkey, a country that has not experienced a similar tragedy since 1999. From an airbase in Sofia, it's wheels up for 12 Bulgarian Red Cross rescuers and 5 canine search specialists, dogs trained to sniff out survivors among the earthquake's devastation. But to get there, there'll be a chilly flight on the military plane.
Вече не знам колко слоя дрехи имам, но колкото и да е вече не е достатъчно. Слагаме колкото се може повече дрехи, защото температурите ще бъдат минусови за този 3-часов полет.
Time is of the essence on this mission.
Вече сме в самолета. Виждате, че точно до нас има автомобил на БЧК, който също ще бъде на място за труднодостъпни места. Вече сме в самолета. Колоните са доста странни, не са като обикновените пътнически авиолинии. Все още не знаем дори как да ги закопчаем.
Despite a snowstorm over Ankara, there was only light turbulence during their journey, enduring the noise and vibrations of the military plane. Their destination in Adana, just 150 kilometers from the earthquake's epicenter. Bulgaria playing its part in an international rescue mission to help the people of Turkey and Syria.
За да проследим спасителните акции.
Marching in the thousands. French residents are once again on the streets protesting against the controversial pension reform. President Emmanuel Macron's plans to make them work longer before retirement, bumping the age from 62 to 64. This third round of nationwide protests coinciding with the arrival of the bill to the National Assembly.
Sauf s'il est devenu vraiment totalement autoritaire. Dans une démocratie, à un moment donné, il faut bien que quelqu'un soit raisonnable. Et c'est forcément lui qui doit le devenir, puisque c'est lui qui a la responsabilité d'avoir créé de toutes pièces ce conflit.
Tuesday's protests brought major cities to a standstill, severely disrupting the public transport sector. but many users didn't mind.
On doit se mobiliser quand même. Parce que là, je pense qu'on est dans une crise, ça c'est mondial, c'est même pas la France ou la Suisse ou l'Allemagne, c'est mondial. Après, c'est la période post-Covid, quoi. Donc, vu les conditions aussi, le problème d'énergie, donc il y en a beaucoup de choses à dire.
The strikes did not reach the magnitude of the past two, which managed to gather more than 1 million people. But the unions plan to do it all again, with another day of protests on Tuesday, the 14th of February.
German Defence Minister Boris Pistorius arriving in Kyiv on Tuesday as the first Ukrainian soldiers headed for Germany to begin training with Leopard 2 tanks. Alongside his visit came the announcement that Germany, Denmark and the Netherlands plan to provide Ukraine with at least 100 refurbished Leopard 1 tanks, with Germany also supplying some of the latest generation.
Deutschland ist bislang das einzige Land, was eine Zusage in dieser Größenordnung gemacht hat, 14 Leopard 2A6. Das modernste Gerät, was wir haben. Die Ausbildung beginnt in Kürze. Ich habe gerade die Soldaten hier verabschiedet, die ukrainischen, die jetzt nach Deutschland kommen, um dort die Ausbildung zu beginnen.
The pledges come amid anticipation of a new Russian offensive around the anniversary of its invasion. Pistorius said he hoped the tanks could make an important contribution for Ukrainian forces on the battlefield.
Seven months after the EU granted candidate status to Moldova, the Prime Minister is in Brussels. The visit on Tuesday comes after the European Commission proposed €145 million in new support funds for Chisinau. In an interview with Euronews, Moldova's Prime Minister said that her people are really feeling the impact of the war in Ukraine.
We're expecting growth of 5% in 2022, and instead we saw a decrease in economic growth by 5.5%. We have very high inflation, and, for example, the tariff for gas went up 7 times, the tariff for electricity went up 3 times, although we have a targeted social assistance program, the bills that people are seeing have increased dramatically.
The Prime Minister is also seeing how Russia is finding new ways to try and undermine Moldova's stability.
We are seeing elements of hybrid war. We are seeing, for example, pro-Russian forces trying to destabilize the country politically through paid protests, which quickly subsided when the oligarchs that fled Moldova were put on sanctions lists and their money flows were restricted. We are seeing cyber attacks. We've had the biggest cyber attacks in 2022 in the history of our country, and we are seeing bomb threats.
At the same time, Transnistria remains a source of concern with the war still ongoing. Transnistria is a pro-Russian breakaway region, a narrow strip of land almost 200 kilometers long and 30 kilometers wide between the Dniester River and Moldova's eastern border with Ukraine. It split from Moldova in 1992, but is not recognized as a sovereign state by the international community or indeed even by Russia.
We consider the situation in our separatist Transnistrian region fragile but stable, and we have always said that a lot of the situation in Moldova will depend on the evolution of the war in Ukraine. We see the brave Ukrainians being very resilient and fighting for the security not only of their country, but also for the security of Moldova and for wider for the values that we as Europeans profess.
The Prime Minister also says illegal migration through Moldova is increasing, using it as a transit country to the EU.
Activists from the environmental group Greenpeace boarded a vessel contracted to Shell on Tuesday as it sailed in the Atlantic Ocean, demanding that the Anglo-Dutch oil giant stop drilling and start paying. 4 activists from Argentina, Turkey, the UK and US boarded the White Marlin vessel just north of the Canary Islands, according to the group. The ship is taking an oil and gas platform to the Penguins field, close to the British Shetland Islands in the North Sea.
Charged with more than 100 breaches of its financial rules, Manchester City could be at risk of severe punishment if found guilty. The defending league champion, which has denied any wrongdoing, is accused of failing to provide accurate financial information over multiple years. In a statement, City said it was surprised by the allegations and welcomed the review of this matter by an independent commission, which could eventually impose punishments ranging from a fine and points deduction to expulsion from the Premier League. If found guilty, the club could also lose its biggest assets, according to football finance expert Kieran Maguire.
Pep Guardiola, he himself has said that he has committed himself to Manchester City because he believes that his colleagues, his senior management colleagues, have been telling him the truth, and if that proves not to be the case, he will leave within 24 hours. So, yeah, I think City will defend itself